And the warmest of greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Christian Whistleblower channel. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, and we're coming to you live from the heartland of America, straight to your heart, I hope. And today, we're pleased and happy and honored again to have the one, the only, Jenny Constantine. You may know her as Jenny Moonstone. By any name, she's the best. Jenny, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great, Jeff. Thanks so much. I'm so excited to see your beautiful face today.
Hey, thanks. I appreciate that. Same to you. So tell me about what this is going on behind me.
Sure. I'm so glad you have it up there. Look at that. So that was maybe my fourth thumbnail that I've ever made.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you. It took me like 3 hours, as a woman to decide on the pictures and all of it. But hopefully I get better at that. No, but my good friend, Michelle Root, and I decided to team up to do a series.
I thought you were going to be on with Jada Pinkett.
Oh, yeah? She's way more beautiful than Jada Pinkett. So as you have maybe in the past, you've heard me make reference to a primordial energy known as Hecate. And so Michelle Root.
Is that what we call Hecate as well?
Yes, she has many names.
Okay.
Many names. She's one of the oldest. She is one of the let's put it this way, when the Norse pantheons, the Egyptian pantheons, when they were all run out by whatever force came in and we made the transition from poly to mono.
Mm-hmm.
Hecate was her domain over the realms of men. She remained. She was granted that forever, which is part of the reason why we don't actually hear that much about her in any of the DC or Marvel. They've covered everybody except for Hecate, and I believe that that's because she's one of the oldest. She is and she would never stand for the crap that they're pulling now. So they just try to act like she's not there. But Michelle Root and I, our common bond is Hecate. So she is a practical witch. She's a good witch, not a bad witch. There's a huge difference. I put myself in the middle of this war right now to reclaim the word witch. And I'm definitely getting a lot of hate thrown at me. Nothing that you're not familiar with, though.
Well, I'm actually a witch too, Jenny. So
you are. I'm glad you know that. You totally are.
So tell me what a practical witch is.
So I love all applications of magic that make a lot of sense. So we're not talking about hurling hexes at people. We're not even talking about big, grandiose spell work here. We're talking about utilizing the cosmic magic that exists within us naturally and is born of and intrinsically connected to the natural world. Yep. And we're trying to utilize these energies in ways that are very beneficial, easy to do, accessible to the average person, and to just, what it does is it ultimately helps us gain a better understanding of who we are, what we're capable of. And, to just make it quite simple, we're just talking about elemental practices here, elemental magic, earth, water, air, fire, ether. It's a good place to start. There's nothing satanic about it. I don't want to hear it. The people that argue with me about divination, astrology, and anything occult having to do automatically with Satan or Luciferianism, it's just incorrect. It's just not true. And,
right.
And just point blank, it's just a lie. It's bogus. So I don't want to hear anybody come at me with that bull, satanic, you're going to burn in hell. Like, it's just absolutely not true. It's
silliness.
I don't disappoint anybody, but I won't be in hell anytime soon.
No. And you gave a great definition of witchcraft versus magic. Witchcraft is exactly what you just said it is. And when we move into the realm of magic, now you're talking about more ceremonial, more ritualistic, and let me see if you agree with this, Jenny. I would say all magicians, are all magicians witches, but not all witches magicians? I don't know. Maybe yes, maybe no.
That's interesting. Well, it's definitely a case-by-case basis. Everybody has an individual brand of magic. And Michael Tessarian actually does a really great expose on the difference between magic and sorcery and how those two things are just intrinsically very different. So we are utilizing similar energies, but the intent behind it is essentially what makes it what it is or what it isn't. And I just grabbed this stone here behind me.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Well, this is just a river rock that we picked up somewhere by a river. And my daughter takes it upon herself to paint them and put like stickers on them, decorate them, and then decorate the house with them. That, as simple as something like picking up a natural object and imbuing it with your own personal kind of creativity, this is a form of practical magic. My home is covered and filled with all kinds of beautiful natural objects that my daughter lovingly decorated, and I feel better because of it. If
that's witchcraft.
Yeah, if that's witchcraft, then I'm big witch and she's little witch, and I love it, and I wouldn't change it for anything.
There you go. What do you think about the idea of combining like tribal witchcraft, Native American witchcraft, practical witchcraft, and ritualistic magic together?
Well, that's, that when I talk about people having a personal brand of magic, that's essentially all that it is. Gone are the days that we have to sign up to be initiated into some sorority, some sisterhood, or some brotherhood. I'm not even an advocate for group magic. I don't ever want to have anything to do with a coven or a group of people that get together and do anything like that. It's not inherently bad or good. I just don't want to get my personal brand of magic mixed up with anybody else's, because I trust mine. I know mine. And, I'm not a huge advocate for people all getting together. But in this day and age, you don't have to subscribe to, any of the traditional ideas. Your magic could be getting up early in the morning, taking a dip in some ice cold water, as you did for quite some time.
It's not ice cold anymore. It's a problem.
Oh, I took a cold shower today and I thought about you.
Good.
Oh, wow. That sounds so weird.
Oh, well.
Inappropriate. No, but really I did. And it felt amazing.
Excellent. So let's move into this a little bit. I don't know if you happen to catch, you're a busy lady, but Robert Stanley and I did an amazing program last night talking about the salute to America that President Trump did over July 4th, and combining it with what happened out at China Lake. And it's Robert Stanley's strong impression, and I'm right there with him, that what happened was actually a banishing of dark forces from Washington, D.C., and a simultaneous banishing or takeover of dark force deep base out in China Lake. Now, that would mean that President Donald Trump, is either A, a magician, or B, working with the magician. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh gosh, you're just like singing to my soul right now. I have so much emotional behind all of this that I have to like really translate this. Okay, so as some of you know, I was on the West Coast. I was in the Pacific Northwest.
And we want to talk about that.
Months and months leading up to it, I repeatedly in my mind felt that my energy, how am I going to be of service? What am I going to do? I said, I'm going to bring the storm. I said it repeatedly. I'm going to assist in facilitating the storm. And the day that I got there, I stood in front of Mount Adams and I asked it. I know it sounds strange talking to a mountain, but you guys, welcome to the party.
Yeah, not here. You're right in line with the rest of us.
I, with my whole being, asked this mountain to unleash fury. I said, do it. I'm here. We're all here. We're all together. Do it. And then the next day was that huge earthquake. And we all got together and watched the Trump speech that day. It was the 4th of July. I was with a couple other members of alt media, and we were all watching it. And we just knew it was like boom, boom, boom. And I'll tell you, I personally felt the activity, the underground activity. I knew that what was taking place, we can call them the white hat operatives. We were absolutely, this was an operational task force, for lack of a better term. And I knew it. And I had really hard time sleeping the whole time that I was there. I wasn't fully allowed to go under. And my guides were telling me, you won't be allowed to wander here. You need to stay on this level right here.
Interesting.
They kept pulling me back into my body. They were like, you need to be here presently to do this work. And I just knew that what we were seeing, do you realize that there has not been a single fatality on the surface as a result of these earthquakes? Not a single fatality.
Yep.
Because this is a surgical strike, and all of the damage has been taking place underground. And we're absolutely shaking, rumbling, killing the bad guys. Like, there's absolutely death and destruction taking place, but we're the good guys. We're taking out the bad guys. I fully believe that in my heart and soul. And it took place while I was out there in front of Mount Adams, kind of a really interesting meridian point, because if you look at the mountains on the West Coast and that fault line and how they all line up, it's like the head of the snake and then the tail. And the earthquakes started from the bottom and worked their way up. And I just knew it. I felt it. I would wake up like shaking, like, oh, like just the energy is so big. So, I mean, all across the board, good guys, good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you were made to stay at least semi-awake. You had to stay in the moment because there was a lot of spiritual juju floating around, and not all of it good, obviously, because they were fighting back. And I mean, when you look at that thing, it was only 0.6 miles deep, so not a natural earthquake. Yeah. All of the aftershocks were in a grid pattern, not a natural earthquake. And like you said, not a fatality on the surface. We don't know who or what was killed underneath, but I'm with you, and I'm with Robert Stanley. It was a strike by the White Hats at dark powers, and it was a victory for the forces of good. And what do you think about Robert's belief that President Trump went a long way towards banishing dark spiritual entities from D.C.?
Well, one thing I'll tell you,
which is interesting, euphemistically called dark country, mainly because there's 95% black within the district. But isn't that interesting? They call it dark country. They want us to think it's because of the high black population, but it's really dark country, spiritually dark country.
That's very interesting. What I'll definitely say about President Trump is that I've always called him he's a dark horse. He is completely, we don't even realize his rank. And when I say rank, I mean on the etheric realms. This man is something more. He absolutely has a knowledge of what is going on behind the surface. I would call him a magician. Magician can actually be considered a broader statement, because we're actually all magicians. We don't consciously realize it, but he really is 10 steps ahead of the game. I do feel that he is spiritually a high-ranking individual and knows full well what's going on, and plays, he's very much playing the game. Anybody who thinks he is just some ignorant puppet at this point, and that's not to say that he isn't subject to some form of control, okay, because it can't be perfect. All right, the bad guys they've made their blow after blow, so he's not perfect, but he absolutely, I see him as a magician. I see him as oh God, I mean, it's amazing. I can almost envision him with like a big staff, and he's at his.
Oh yes, that's good. I don't know if we talked about this or not, but I think he's bought his freedom. I think he's paid off the debt he owed to get to where he is with the Jerusalem embassy, with the Golan Heights, and with the recognition of Jerusalem as the capital. Those billionaires, those trillionaires with all of their money could not buy any of those things. Donald Trump owed him $1 billion. So I think he paid off his debt and said, okay, boys, I am free and clear to navigate. And I think that he is now. And I think that's why we're seeing no bombing of Iran, no reprisal. I'm not going to sacrifice 200 lives, he said, over a machine, that drone. It's why we're not at war with Russia, why we're not at war with North Korea, why we're not at war with Iran, why he's going to make deals with all of those people while we're at peace, and while we are now really starting to see, it's been a long time, but I think we're starting to see the swamp of the level go down. I think he is starting to actually drain it. He's starting to make some headway. Epstein's going down. That's just the beginning. The dark forces have been banished. There's been a great victory out on the West Coast. So I think that we're actually starting to see stuff. And I know people are going to come at us, oh, you're all stupid, you're all dumb, but that's all right. You live in your world and we'll live in our world. If you want to live in defeat and fear, go ahead. We're going to live in victory and power.
Oh God, I had a whole bunch, but I just tuned into the comments, and I'm really bad at reading and thinking at the same time. Like I can only do one thing.
Thank God you're not chewing gum.
Right? My head would just spin right off my neck. Dang it.
So let me hit you with something else then. Robert Stanley last night said that he expects Trump to win in 2020.
Oh, okay. Yes, 2020. Absolutely. Oh my God, hands down. Like hands down. There's no doubt about it. What's really interesting. I believe he's been draining the swamp since day one, and he knew that right before him and his team, by the way, because he doesn't do this alone. I'm convinced he has some of the most talented diviners, astrologists, psychics, you name it, behind the scenes, a complete spiritual team. I know it. It's my hope to one day be in a position like that, to be maybe Baron. You know what I mean? I would love to be Baron's, psychic advisor or whatever, tarot reader. But he's been doing it the whole time. And right before we're going to start gearing up for the next campaign trail, now we see what QAnon and the Great Awakening is capable of, and all that they're pushing forward. None of it's perfect, okay? Because we're really putting a lot on the individual here, on the human element, and humans are so flawed. So QAnon is not perfect. The Great Awakening, MAGA, it's not perfect. But what
President Trump is not perfect.
No, he's not. And how dare we, expect that of him? I have conversations with people that are still so blatantly, they miss Obama, and they're like, oh, we should have gotten Hillary. She was who we deserved. And I'm like, that's who you deserved. But I say, what of all of the arrests of the child traffickers and all of these children that have been released from slavery? Oh, Trump had nothing to do with that. And so at that point, I'm just like, let's shut it down.
Because it's over at that point.
It really is. It really is. And 2020, I think, is just going to be a magical year on all levels. I think we are entering a time, the great reveal, the great undoing, if you will. Yep. And we talk about this so much. How we respond to it is so sensitive to where our hearts are at, the level of fear, the level of programming that we have or have not broken. And so, with the whole Space Force thing too, because that's really, with the whole Area 51 thing right now, and, they are working triple time right now to try to cover all of their asses on all of their fronts. They're like,
yep.
Okay, if we deploy the Area 51 meme, we kill two birds with one stone. We start to really bring home the seed of alien disclosure within the population. At the same time, we're completely distracting from the Epstein debacle and all that is revealing. So they're
and distracting from China Lake too.
And from China Lake as well. And so we have to be very careful with the alien thing, you guys. We have to be very careful not to accept their version of the alien reality, because they're going to try to trick us big time. You've got people like John Podesta teaming up with Tom DeLonge, and they have this new thing called To the Stars Academy, where they're going to try to start recruiting young people and indoctrinating them on this new alien reality.
Podesta's been recruiting young people for a while now.
Right. It's just terrible. That's his MO. So, oh my God, I'm just so excited to be a part of this. I don't know about you, but
Robert Stanley's afraid that when the left loses in 2020, that they are going to react violently. And part of me says, what are these snowflake soy boys and soy girls gonna do?
Bring it.
But then they could also, hire people like they do for the Antifa foolishness. Do you think the left will react violently, and are you afraid of them reacting violently?
I almost dropped.
You almost did. It was close.
I didn't know. I stopped.
But I've learned since Rocky and I went nationally syndicated on our radio show, I understand that you can get away with saying that. You just can't say it in your title.
Okay.
And you have to be very, very discerning with your use of the F-bomb. So, every now and then is okay.
Okay. That's good. No, but I stopped myself. But there is absolutely no fear. Here's the thing. These small pockets of folks that decide that violence is their trajectory, and they have a violent response to what will inevitably take place in 2020, which is another Trump term, they will be dealt with. They will fall right into the palm of the hands of their controllers. And here's the thing, the United States population, the civilian population in the United States is the single most heavily armed population in the entire world.
Yep.
The civilians have more guns than some small countries' militaries do.
Yep.
There is no way, we will never encounter a full-fledged invasion on this soil. So if people want to fight and die for whatever indoctrination they believe in, and that is their personal sovereign choice, and it's not my place to interfere with that. I certainly hope that we can get through this with minimal bloodshed, but if it has to come to that, so be it. Death is just part of the cycle anyways, isn't it?
Yeah.
Patton, that's what I was thinking about. Patton. Oh my gosh. So
and Patton said, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for I am the meanest son of a bitch in the valley."
Yes.
I cleaned it up a little bit.
Well, I appreciate that. But oh my gosh, Patton. Patton, I feel he's one of my primary guides. He's one of my primary human guides. Even though I think this man might have been something more than human. But he walks with me constantly. I feel his hand on my shoulder. You're doing good, kiddo.
Not in a creepy Biden sort of way, though, right?
Oh my God. I would pay big money. I don't even have big money, but I would pay it if I had it to see Patton take off those white gloves and just smack Biden around like the little bitch he is. And
Jenny, I don't get it. If I'm standing there with Biden and he does what he did to my little girl, I don't give a damn if he's the president, vice president or not. I would push his bitch ass back and say, "Take your hands off my daughter, you crazy old." I almost said it.
See, we're just like on it today. So it just is a testament, and it goes to show the character of the people that are in those upper echelons of the political spectrum. They will not stand up. They have no intestinal fortitude. They have no protective instincts. And it is very much in alignment with the theories surrounding their lifestyle, that they are abusive to children. They traffic children. They don't care. They have no empathy. I mean, if it was you or me, we would have, throats would have been slashed. It would have been a bloodbath, you know what I mean? Like over, done. But these people don't operate the way that you and I do. And all of that is going to continue to come out. We're going to learn what these people have done, what they're capable of. And I think more so than being worried about how Antifa is going to react to anything, those tiny little pockets of people, I'm more concerned about what the collective, how the collective population, because people, believe it or not, there are really intelligent people out there that are waking up. And I see it more and more every day. How is the United States population going to react when they find out how they've been duped? I worry more about that. And I worry about bigger, like the Patriots, even the Great Awakening, the QAnon movement. I worry a little bit sometimes. I worry they can get baited into the hive mind, into the sort of tribal mentality where it becomes like group think, and everybody kind of starts whipping each other into a frenzy. It becomes it's a loosh fest, and there's absolutely no control.
Yeah, this is not the time to storm the castle, ladies and gentlemen.
Not yet.
Not yet. This is not the time to lock and load.
I'll let you know. I'm awaiting orders.
It is not time. So what were you going to say about Patton, General Patton?
So
what does the S stand for? Do you know?
Oh my God. Don't do this to me.
I'm sorry. Anyway, go ahead. Tell me what you're going to say about Patton. I'll look it up.
He's like a fifth generational junior too. So he's like, and I always forget, I've always called him just General George Patton.
George Smith Patton.
Oh, well, that's easy. But I've always had to remind myself, he's a junior. You can't, George Patton was his dad. George Patton was his granddad. He's a junior. But I firmly believe, and most intuitive, observant people agree, that he was assassinated. And he was assassinated because he was far too large of a threat to the powers that existed at the time. And I believe that when he died, his mission didn't die with him. And I believe if you subscribe to the idea of incarnation and this sort of fractal nature that takes place when the soul transitions from one realm to the next, or one medium to the next, that fragments of that person's soul are then seeded into other people. And so I very much believe myself to have some kind of a glimmer of this man's essence. I feel him more so than I've ever felt. And this just sounds terrible, but he's more of a father figure to me than my actual father. Oh, Dad, I'm so sorry. I love you. He'll never watch this in a million years, but I do feel bad. But Patton's spirit, Patton's essence gives me something that I never had. Let me put it that way.
Right.
And I do believe that we are picking up in a lot of ways where he left off. Now, Patton was a killer. Okay. He was one for war, battle, combat, bloodshed, you name it.
He was a warrior.
He was. And so, while we would all love to have a peaceful resolution, there does come a time when executions absolutely have to, it has to be done. There's no other way. Peaceful reconciliation, unconditional love is actually one of the greatest lies perpetuated throughout human history. That's just what I believe. But I do believe, well, Patton was absolutely willing to continue the war effort to end it. So he was willing to allow more people to die, as many people as was necessary. But what actually happened was the powers that were at the time decided we would rather negotiate, we would rather make deals instead of end this. The way.
Let's go down this rabbit hole, Jenny. I'm looking at something right now that talks about the friendship between George S. Patton and Dwight D. Eisenhower during the interwar years. But I have a sneaky feeling that you're going to tell me at the end of it all, Ike had Patton knocked off.
Yes, that's how I feel. And I get incredibly emotional and hot.
So what happened to these guys that are tight friends and, birds of a feather? It looks like they were guys that, they came up together. They, had some camaraderie, and then they had that parting of the ways.
Betrayal is a bitch.
Betrayal is a bitch. So you would be your assertion that Eisenhower betrayed Patton.
Absolutely. I believe it. It's really touchy for me because I, in a lot of ways, absorb.
They once took a tank apart completely together to the nuts and bolts and reassembled it.
Isn't that nice? I mean, talk about brotherhood, talk about
generals. I mean, these, do you think of the generals just sit in the room and push the buttons? Not these guys. They wanted to know how a tank works, and they took it apart. They would sit and discuss tactics. They were zealots, but something changed when I went to Washington, huh?
Yeah. Well, listen, it's very unfortunate. Some people are more prone to become corrupted than others. Some people lose focus. Some people can be compromised, blackmailed, extorted. There's any number of things that could have happened. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to, judge the decisions of men that have long since passed.
Right.
That's all fine and dandy. But I do believe that Patton's mission did not die with him. And I feel I have adopted, knowingly, consciously adopted part of that sort of, a continuance of that. And whatever.
Let me give you a quote from Eisenhower. George S. Patton was the most brilliant commander of an army in the open field that our or any other service has ever produced.
Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Many Lives, Many Battles was a book. It was a compilation rather of Patton's poetry. He's been inclined to metaphysical thought since he was a child. And, he believes himself to be a reincarnated spirit of, Julius Caesar's right-hand man, Napoleon, one of Napoleon's right-hand men. I mean, all of the
Patton believed this.
What? Yes.
Patton believed this? Wow.
Patton believed this fully. He wrote about it. He was a poet. He was a philosopher. He was a mystic. He really, really believed this. He's like, I know you won't believe me, but this is really, and I'm like, I relate to that so much because I tell people, I'm like, I know you won't believe me, but this is really what's going on. And so that to me is just the most beautiful and potent combination is a man of his standing. Here's the thing. He was nasty. Like he had so much vitriol to spew about different groups of people. I mean, he really had, but I love that because I know, you know what I mean? Like, I know his heart. He wanted what was best for humanity. Ultimately, he was still a person. He was flawed, much like Trump. So it's very easy to draw a lot of obvious parallels between Patton and Trump. And I
think Trump has a bust of Patton in his office.
I believe it. I do.
Yeah.
I do. And I only recently came into the information that Patton was killed, and then only a few short months later, Trump was born. So And
Ah,
if you've ever looked at them next to each other, there is 100%. There's a likeness there. I see it. Mannerisms too. I mean, he was a big energy, and he
he
triggered
died in
people
Heidelberg. I didn't know that.
in Germany.
Yeah.
Very slow moving accidents. But theories are that
Broke his neck in a car near Mannheim, Germany. Died in the Heidelberg hospital 12 days later. Boy, that is curious, isn't it?
well, the theories were actually that he took an airsoft round to the neck, and it didn't kill him instantly. He was a really tough man to kill. He'd actually survived several assassination attempts. So it is very sad, and I absorb a lot of his emotions, I feel, not because I have to, because I've chosen to. I've chosen to step into that energy and see what it might have felt like. And so he was pissed about the betrayal. I mean, that's a kind of rage that doesn't die very easily. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And here's a book that was written. General George S. Patton assassinated to silence his criticism of Allied war leaders.
Sounds about right to me.
Wow.
I liked him because he couldn't be bought. Like he just incorruptible. He was corrupt in his own dirty way, but I love that.
Very, very interesting. So you think that Trump could be and they do look a lot alike. You think President Trump could possibly have at least a fragment of George S. Patton in him?
100%. If anybody does.
That would make a lot of sense because they do act a lot alike. And, Trump is just, listen, I don't care. And I love it. But, one thing that it really bothers me, and I just saw this last week, I'm old, so I've seen a lot of presidents and a lot of press conferences, and everybody's talking about how we disrespected Obama and poor Obama. I have never seen a president get more disrespected than Donald Trump does. These little roaches in the press are yelling at him, screaming at him. They won't shut up. They won't be quiet. I've never seen that happen before. No one ever did that to Barack Obama, and no one should have done it to Barack Obama or anybody else who's a president of the United States. And I don't understand how Trump hasn't told somebody to F off before and flipped him off. I don't know how he keeps his cool.
Oh, I honestly feel like it's part of his magical function. Whatever kind of rank that he is, whatever he emanates, whatever his spirit is doing, part of his function is to serve as this catalyst for people. So we see this, and the likes of which we've never seen before, because he is a dark horse. He really is. He is like Trigger all across the board. And I love it because I'm calm, you're calm, we're fine. But you talk to some folks and they really think that it is the end of the world. They believe that the world is coming to an end. We're all going to hell in a handbasket, and it's all the orange man's fault. And it boggles my mind. We really are interpreting two different perceptions of one absolute reality. So it's a wonder to behold. And I'm so glad to be here for this. I feel like I waited a long time to incarnate here now as me to be part of this. I swear, I'm so excited to be here.
I think it's absolutely probably the very best time to have been alive, really, in all of history. I really think it is.
I do too.
And if you want to get kicked off my Facebook or banned from this channel, the quickest way to do it is talk about disrespecting the president of the United States and call him orange. That'll do it just like that. Yeah, I hate that. I hate that.
Like, whatever. Like, let the man live. 1 second. What is it, baby?
Where's my tablet? Like, they're over here.
And we're talking today with Jenny Constantine, having a fascinating discussion about magic, witchcraft, and about President Donald Trump and General George S. Patton. So is that why Trump is seemingly fearless, because he's got so much Patton in him?
Well, I mean, it could be argued that that's the case, but I also think this man just has such a wall of spiritual defenses, because I really do believe he has, and this is just my opinion, it's conjecture, I can't prove this right now, but I do believe he has a very powerful, very skilled psychic team that takes care of all of his spiritual needs, defenses, offenses, you name it. Because here's the thing. We are clearly seeing a resurgence of all of the older ways of life, paganism, a satru. There's all the heathenry, all of it's being reborn. And so, it could be argued that this is in an effort to, sort of, it's like a symptom. It's a symptom of what's taking place with the human collective. And that is, we are all remembering something that we're remembering something collectively, and it manifests as these, different groups of people saying, oh my gosh, the old gods. And I get into arguments with people because the negative elite have indeed claimed many of the old gods for themselves. They've desecrated their names. They take their likeness and they do something nasty with it. And here's the thing. Some of these energies are very sensitive to what is being given to them. If you give a deity or an entity blood, you will whip that energy into a frenzy, and you will then exalt that shadow aspect, and you will simply feed the darker aspect of whatever deity it is. Because with everything, there's a light aspect and a shadow. Some of the greatest destroyers in the history of this planet have also been the best protectors. So we have to be careful when we get into large groups. We cannot give these gods and goddesses all kinds of blood and anger and sex magic and torture children. You can't do that, because you will corrupt that energy. And it will take some time for the rest of us to claim those primordial energies back and heal them and work together. And when we all integrate once again, I think that's really when we start to see what's been hidden from us for so long.
That's a great point, Jenny. That's a great point.
Patton spoke of such things. He himself was a pagan. He talks about Jove and Saturn and Odin, and I'm just like, it's like sensory overload. I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. This is amazing.
That's so powerful. Now, Jenny, even within our genre, we've got a fairly large percentage of people that hate President Trump. They think we're stupid. They think we're shills. Why are we even voting? We're taking the wrong pill. I don't know which color we're supposed to take and not supposed to take. I missed that part of the movie. But what do you say to those people that think that we are absolutely stupid, absolutely shilled out, absolutely duped, absolutely just a couple of dummies?
I think they call that being a nihilist. I think that's what it is. I don't know many nihilists. I've just heard the word in passing. But here's the thing. I can kind of understand where people are at with that. And the main argument that I hear in regards to Trump not being on our side is that the system that enslaved us will never provide us with a leader that will free us. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. I agree with that. The state system will not generate for us a leader that will bring us into freedom, or at least not real freedom.
Right.
But I argue that while there is a negative elite, there is a system, there is an enemy, an ancient enemy even. We are lying to ourselves if we believe that there is not simultaneously running parallel to these negative programs a positive one. Why would we doubt the power of the positive resistance and give all this power to the negative? Why would we do that? We're really just playing into it, So we have to be very honest about the fact that we're not alone in this. The human race is not alone. We do have alliances, most of which are actually inside the earth, not in outer space. And so that's a huge part of disclosure. And it is a huge chunk of the disclosure campaign that they're trying desperately to control. They want us to accept their spatial logistics of what space is. They want us thinking out there, up there, away from here. That's not the case. The nature of this planet is interdimensional, interplanetary. It's all right here.
Earth might be one great big portal.
Yes, that's how I 100% feel about it.
I've never even thought that before, I don't think, until right now.
Well, if you think about the microcosm of the human body, and you compare it to a lot of what happens in the natural world, including the lakes, the rivers, the mountains, the trees, we have all of these correlations that are taking place on both inside and on the human body, as well as the planet. So we are microcosms of the bigger picture. We are our own ships, our body, our human system. We are our own vehicles. And the earth, the planet, being sentient, intelligent, thinking, divine, calculated. It knows what it's doing. It is just a larger ship, and hidden within the planet are bridges, doorways, portals, vortexes, meridian points, you name it. This place is just teeming. I'm so excited to be here.
Jenny, I am too. And we need to read something because people in the chat room are going crazy. You guys are pagans. Let me read you, ladies and gentlemen, the definition of the word pagan. You've got to stop being triggered by your old programming. You've got to stop being triggered by the fear and guilt control matrix. You say you've come out of it and you're still triggered by it because you haven't taken the time and done the due diligence to find out what these words mean. You know that words mean things. You know that words have power. Find out what the words mean that you're speaking before you unleash things that you don't know you're unleashing. Do you want to know what the word paganism means, ladies and gentlemen? Pagan means, 1, a person holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world religions.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
That's it. And another second definition is a country dweller.
Country dweller.
So am I a pagan? Do I hold religious beliefs other than those of the main world religions? You bet your sweet bippy I do. So yeah, I'm a pagan. Jenny's a pagan. And unless you're stupid, you're a pagan. Did I say the stupid word?
You did. But it fits. It fits. So if you're not a pagan, you're doing it wrong. You don't
exactly. If you're a pagan, you are just stupid. You don't get it.
You don't get it. You don't have to call yourself a pagan. That's fine. You don't have to call yourself a witch. That's fine. I've taken it upon myself to kind of, try to do what I can to reclaim those particular labels because it's a personal vendetta. What can I say?
Absolutely. I'm the same exact way.
Many witches, pagans, healers, medicine men and women have all been butchered. I mean, absolutely butchered, slain, entire bloodlines taken out, all in the name of an Abrahamic religion. So yep. I don't want to hear it. You people are insane. I had someone say on my last show I did with my friend Michelle, our series Witch Force, someone said, "Goddess worship is evil. You will burn for this." And it was just so supremely ass backwards.
It is.
Goddess worship is evil. Only some horrible AI constructs. I believe that Yahweh, or the God of the Abrahamic religions, the one that came in and pushed out all the old gods, the earth gods, I believe that it is some kind of ancient AI that crept into our universe or into our realm and took over. And he claims, it claims that the mother, the great mother, these primordial energies, the diviners, the astrology, the tarot, all of these yoga, whatever. I actually have a bone to pick with yoga one of these days. I knew I didn't like it for a reason, but
can you give us a little thumbnail sketch, or you don't, not right now?
I feel like, I've been hearing that yoga is actually legitimately satanic, and that there are actual poses that are meant to be vehicular. If we understand the body as a vehicular offering. So this is, I'm going to move my body. Yeah. But I don't know.
Because when you look at some of those poses, and this is going to upset so many people, Jenny, but when you look at some of the, and I was doing yoga and I thought, no. I was doing it and it just it felt wrong. But when you look at some of those poses at the end, so many people are gonna get mad, but hey, when you look at some of and we have to think outside the box. And if you really believe in something genuinely, then you're not gonna get all, I was gonna say twerked. That's not the right word. You're not gonna get all torqued off if someone questions it and you have to think about it. Because some of those poses that these, and I mainly see girls get themselves into, those aren't good for the body. Those are going to cause degradation over time to your joints and your musculature. And they do look like they're perfect vehicles for possession. And some of them look like you got to be possessed to get into that place. Do you have to be possessed to hit some particular yoga poses?
It's really, that's so funny because now that I think about it, you know what a mudra is? A mudra is like a hand symbol, a gesture. Yep. There are many, and these are supposed
like this one.
Like this one. They're supposed to help manipulate energies, okay? And
Right.
so yoga is starting to kind of look like a body mudra. So you're going to put your entire body into some kind of a gesture or a sigil, but don't quote me on that.
What is a sigil? Yoga is it's turning your body into a sigil.
Yeah. Maybe.
So we have to go back and really be mindful of. So if the body's a sigil, you could put your body in positive sigils. You could put your body in unbalanced sigils, balance, unbalanced. So you've got to ask yourself, you yogis and you yoginis, what am I putting myself into? What am I drawing down? Yoga's magic, folks.
It is.
What am I drawing down? And what am I channeling? What am I projecting? What energies? Oh, this is real, Jenny. That is just huge. That's a whole new realm right there.
Yeah. I'm sure at some point in Earth's history, the ancients, they may have had a different system of yoga, but we're talking about moves like your run-of-the-mill top 10 yoga moves. Who knows like where they really came from, what they really are. I've always advocated martial arts. So any kind of martial art that, the way of the warrior, discipline, make your body strong, push yourself past exhaustion, learn what your release points are, learn how to collect energy inside your body and then release it. Okay. That's a totally different thing. I think that's like a very,
what's really interesting, Jenny, just as you said that, I happen to have 2 black belts in 2 different martial arts. And I just now realized that and I was dating a black belt and I was doing it literally 6 days a week. So I got both my black belts in accelerated time, a little under 3 years. But those 3 years were the heart and soul of my spiritual awakening. I wonder if that's just a coincidence or if there's something to that.
No, I mean, martial arts, like everybody, when you learn to use your body as a weapon, which is like something I'm all about weaponry. That's just my,
you are.
No, because like, here's the thing, like we were really at war. People have different functions as spirits, as souls coming here, incarnating here, we have different functions. But so my thing is the weaponry, make your body a weapon, make your mind a weapon, make everything a weapon because it's not safe here. This is a challenging place. This is a challenging time. Okay. So
we live in an arena.
We do. I believe we live in an arena, and this unconditional love, this love and light, this yoga culture that I've seen where some of these yoga gurus are total, like they're sluts, they're liars, they're hypocrites. Like some of these yoga masters, some of the guys, they'll just sleep with their whole, like all of the people that they're training and say it's all healing. It's sex.
Can men be sluts too?
Are you kidding?
No, I can. And how do you define a slut? I mean, let's define the word. What's a slut?
I don't know. I mean, listen, someone that I think I've said this before. I don't want to say it again. I'm not going to say it again. But when you throw it around.
Oh, that's right. When you throw it around. Yeah.
Whether you're male or female, recklessly without any real understanding of what the meshing of that energy is and the overlapping of auras, like the ramifications of that.
Jenny, that's become almost spiritual now. If you throw it around and you're not monogamous. You don't buy that old stuff. You throw it around to anybody and everybody.
Yeah. I don't know. This whole share the love and free love and have sex with everybody that you want if you feel like it. Well, it's not my place to judge. And I think that's great that people can live that way responsibly and people's feelings don't get hurt and people don't get killed for that,
That's a great way to get shot.
That's a great way to get shot. Go and sleep with somebody's wife. But you know what? Like it's different strokes for different folks. Ooh, that was a good pun. I like that. Different strokes.
Yeah, that was a good pun. But there's gotta be, I mean, for some people, monogamy is the way. For some people, monogamy is not the way. But we can't say, I don't think we can sit here and say for everybody, monogamy is the right path. For everybody, non-monogamy is the right path.
Right. I don't know.
You got to check it. Why are you doing it? Are you throwing it around? Mm-hmm. Is it a worshipful practice whenever you're doing it? Or are you taking advantage of your position and are you misusing? And maybe, we just talked about yoga and possession maybe all these people that are doing their yoga and throwing it all around is because they're being possessed by something that wants them to throw it around so it can get the energy. I'm just saying it's a possibility. No comment, Jenny? Oh, she froze. I'm like, I can't believe Jenny wouldn't have a comment on that. So she is frozen in that she's about to let it rip pose. So, wow. Ladies and gentlemen, lots of interesting stuff to talk about here today. Lots of interesting things to think about. Lots of different ways of looking and different ways.
Oh, I'm frozen.
Yeah, now you're unfrozen.
Okay. Wow. That was so weird. So strange. Okay. I'm sorry, honey. I didn't catch what you said. Like the past, like 10.
The last thing I said basically was I was just filling time. The last thing I said before you froze was we just talked about yoga, bringing in spirits and possession. Is it possible, just possible, we're just talking, we're asking questions, that some of these yogis and yoginis that are throwing it all around because they may be being influenced by spirits that want them to throw it all around so they can get some loosh?
Well, for sure. Because listen to this. Think about the folks that are attracted to that lifestyle, really not knowing any better. Typically nonviolent, peaceful people, health conscious, looking for community, looking to be active. So that you're now carving out a pretty significant portion of the population that otherwise, if directed properly and not subject to all of these reckless entanglements, would be considered a real force to be reckoned with. So again, infiltration on all spheres, from fitness to health to lifestyle, yoga, this tantric sex stuff. I don't buy any of it. I don't advocate doing magic in groups. I don't like cults, covens, anything like that. I've never subscribed to it. I'll never join anybody. I have been asked, not interested. This is a very personal journey. Keep things locked as much as you can, because your efficacy level goes up 10 points when you are not entangled willy-nilly with pretty much anybody else.
Jenny, let me ask you a question though. I gotta ask you this. One person really, really strong, powerful, magically. If you could find another person that was legit, doesn't it make sense that combining intentions would make it exponentially more powerful?
Yeah, for sure. And in those instances, you got to have that conversation, I guess.
Yeah.
If it's like that, then the universe, your higher selves, will then orchestrate the circumstances that make this sort of thing okay. It's
right.
Never going, I say, okay, so how do you feel after one of these relations? How do you feel?
No, I'm not talking about just relations. I'm talking about magically.
Okay. Yeah, no, that too.
Yeah.
I mean, like Michelle and I, we have teamed up on some defensive spells. We have on, work with Hecate. But I generally say the smaller the circle, the more trust is there, because just statistically speaking, the more people you have, the more liabilities you have. So get right with yourself first. The right person, then a magical partner, a sexual partner, whatever kind of a partner, will then naturally just gravitate towards you when you're ready. That's my belief. But don't start.
And anybody that knows anything about magic knows that the more people know about it, the harder it is to make it work.
Oh, yeah. Someone said magic is not real. Oh, well, for you, it's not, sweetie.
Jenny, that is so interesting, because he put in there T2, magic is not real. And I put down there, my next comment was not for you, because it's not. Right. No, if you believe it's not for you, that not real for you, then it is not real for you.
You're a dirty muggle, and that's the life that you've chosen. And I feel so sorry for you.
What is a muggle?
A muggle is a non-magical person.
Oh, that's Harry Potter stuff, right? Yeah. I've heard my son say about muggles.
It's in that world, in the Harry Potter universe, it is considered a racial slur, so it's not very friendly. But when it's
like a goy, right? Sort of.
Yeah. But when the muggles are mean to us, then it's like the gloves are off. So dirty muggles are not invited to the party. If you're that hell-bent on being a non-magical person and you're committed to remaining indoctrinated and enslaved, that's fine. You can go sit over there. You can't sit with us.
Exactly. No worries. Just, we'll show you the door and you go on and do your muggle thing, and we'll do our I guess, magic thing, right?
Yeah, our magic.
Here's a question that just popped in my mind that has to be asked. And since we pissed everybody off, we might as well piss off the vegans too.
Yay. No,
what about veganism?
Vegan friends. wonderful people.
I do too. But what about veganism as a way of weakening the warrior spirit?
Oh, you know, we have talked about this. You know how I feel about this. Listen, you guys, different people, different physical, biological systems are going to require different kinds of nutrients. I cannot, will not ever want to be without meat. I love meat. I love how I feel when I eat it. I always feed it to my family. They need it. They love it. They thrive on it. Now, there are people that decide to go plant-based. They have different experiences with it. Some people, and there is a huge population of folks on YouTube that tried the vegan lifestyle, which, by the way, vegan is not just vegetarian. Vegetarian is when you don't eat meat or animal products. Vegan is an entire lifestyle. So it's entirely plant-based, from what you eat to how you live, to what you wear, to what you purchase. Yeah. So the vegan lifestyle is very different from being vegetarian.
And it has to be said that some vegetarians will also eat dairy, consume dairy.
And milk and stuff like that.
Cheese,
Totally doable. If that's your lifestyle choice, that's totally fine. Now, the veganism thing, I call it the end of
C2, you're not going to overcome me because I'm not fighting you. So go fight somewhere else, bro.
I will overcome you. That's so, I kind of feel bad.
I know it's sad. Good for you. Thank you. Go ahead. You've won. Bye-bye. Move on out. We don't have any time for you.
Oh, he's going to have a really rough weekend.
It's sad, and he'll be back. He'll be back.
He's going to be thinking about this, and he's just going to be like, oh, man.
I have to say something, Jenny, and about this, we can come back to this vegan thing. There's a real spirit moving. That's the only way I know how to put it, is spirit moving of people that have been at odds are starting to come into agreement and to seek fellowship and to seek reconciliation. I've seen it in my life. I mean, we just had a WSO, Steve Olson, on the channel talking about coming out of the fear and guilt porn thing. John X Army was just on the channel coming out of the fear, guilt porn thing. And yet there's some people that have just, given me the finger lately and moved on. But I really think there is a realization of the need to not be in lock, stock, cookie cutter agreement with each other, but there is a realization of we need to focus on the things that we agree upon. We can have strength and unity amidst diversity. I think that's happening, and I'm glad it's happening because we can use it.
Absolutely. I'm so with you. The idea of a cookie cutter society, to me, it reeks of communist propaganda, and I want no part of it. No part of it. Could you imagine? I can't even imagine. So I love differences, and I take a lot of heat sometimes because I am even one for tribalism. I have no problem with entire cultures of people that choose, out of their sovereignty, out of their personal choices, that they only wish to procreate and live amongst themselves. Who am I to say that everybody needs to integrate?
Got no problem with that.
No, none whatsoever. It becomes a problem when there are violent conflicts. But here's the thing, you guys, there have been violent conflicts between tribes since the birth of humanity. And some things are within our nature. So, each their own, but absolutely this what it is we have to draw lines in the sand. And I think that I really believe that that's what the basis of the Great Awakening is. If we cannot all agree on this one thing, then we really are lost. And that one thing, I always loop it back around because that is what Pedogate is. That is what why QAnon is here. It's why the white hats are here, because our enemy is evil, has no empathy, and the foundations of that empire are built on the blood, the bones, and the energy of innocence. So if we cannot agree, I don't care what you do. You can even call yourself, there are people that are members of the Satanic Church or the Church of Satan that say, just don't harm anybody. Who cares what they're doing as long as they're not hurting kids?
One of the tenets of the Church of Satan is to do no harm to innocents.
Exactly. So ultimately, all as a collective, as a civilization, we are all sort of being brought up to speed here with what has been propagated, what has been perpetuated here. And if we can all agree on the one thing, you are not allowed to harm a child, rape a child, take something from a child that can't be put back.
Period.
So that's it. Period. Done. That's it. If you can't get on board with that, you really deserve to be shuffled off your mortal coil, because you're just part of the problem and you'll be dealt with.
Exactly.
One way or another. So that's it, so, and everything else at this point in time is just fluff, and it doesn't matter. I have no interest in stopping somebody from becoming a vegan, because I want to loop it back around, but you can go onto YouTube right now and you will find dozens, if not more, people that tried and they lived the vegan lifestyle for a number of years, and they watched their health deteriorate completely.
I did it for 2 years and couldn't do it anymore because I never felt bad, but I never felt optimal either.
No, their teeth start to become weak, their skin, they become emaciated. They're not getting, because if you think about it, most of it is then sugar, fiber, carbohydrates, protein. I firmly believe we need animal fat. I'm a very healthy person. I'm an incredibly healthy person. I consume animal products, animal fat, and I'm healthy as a freaking horse. You know what I mean?
Animal fat is really, really good for you.
What is?
Animal fat is really, really good for you.
It is. And the lie that cholesterol is somehow bad. The brain needs cholesterol. Do you know that vegans that have come out of the vegan lifestyle have donated their bodies to be studied because they're like, what is wrong with me? Please find out and tell the world. Their brains shrink.
Yeah.
Their brains shrink from lack of good cholesterol.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want to hear it. People argue, oh, you'll never ascend. They say you'll never ascend into 5D if you're still eating animals. And I'm
Bullshit.
Bullshit. Get out of my face with your crap.
You may not ascend if you're a vegan. Jay Campbell did a lot of good study on that and found that there's a lot you will, and this is a firebomb of a statement, but if you're going to live a vegan lifestyle, sooner or later, you're going to get sick, you're going to break down, you're not going to be optimal, and it's probably going to kill you.
Right. That's, for me, I feel like I would just die.
That's just the way we are here in this 3D world. We got to have some animal protein. Absolutely. Period. You got to.
Well, listen to this. How about entire civilizations? For example, there was a Mayan civilization, a small group of people. They were, they had they had science, they had art, they had studies. They definitely ate animals. And from one day to the next, they disappeared. It could be argued that they ascended, but they definitely ate animals.
That's a good point. And, I never even thought about that. Did the Mayans ascend? That's a really, really good one. Because they were pretty much gone overnight. They argue they sacrificed themselves. There's got to still be at least one guy left,
right?
Unless he cut his own throat.
Right. Which I wouldn't put it past them. They were some
That's true.
Very, very intense human beings. But
they were.
Factory farming is never going to be okay. Factory farming is probably more like a big loose.
Damn, I'd like a pizza right now. I don't know why. I got a hankering for pizza.
Yeah, that actually sounds really good. Have you tried?
Yeah, factory farming. It's like Leo Tolstoy said: as long as there's slaughterhouses, there'll be battlefields.
Right, that makes sense.
And that's an interesting. I don't like it. I wish that I could be vegan. I wish I could be vegetarian. I really do. And I tried it for 2 years and I was rock solid. Yeah. It just doesn't work for Jeffrey Daugherty right here, right now. I'm sorry. It just doesn't work for me.
You don't have to be sorry. And you know what? To hell with anybody that tells you that you should be ashamed for that, because they're just wrong, hateful. They're trying to find a way to justify the fact that they're miserable eating salad and blueberries and alfalfa sprouts.
And it goes back to that whole thing, Jenny, where you can be a finger pointer. I'm a vegan and you're not.
And you're not.
I'm more spiritual and you're still eating meat. It's that whole finger pointing thing again. I am a O positive blood type. Yeah. So yeah, it's anything that makes you feel like you're superior or more spiritual than somebody else probably isn't a good thing.
I'm AB positive, by the way. I just learned that recently. My dad is O negative.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'm AB positive. So,
interesting.
Yeah,
so tell us real quickly about ESETI before we get out of here.
I'll make this brief, and you and I will do a show again.
But what do you think about James Gilliland?
I like him. I really.
I haven't had that. I've been trying to get him on, but he has really terrible internet up there, so I don't know if it's ever going to happen. But I, for some reason, I like the guy. Tell us about him and tell us about ESETI.
I'll ask him personally, to go ahead and help facilitate a time for you two. I like James. James is really easy to talk to. He's easy to get along with. He's been so generous. Like he asked me to come back to ECETI next year rather, as a speaker.
Beautiful.
ECETI was it was a blast. I don't know how else to put it. I mean, listen, there was a communal shower, a communal bathroom. It was like camping.
Did you go in the communal shower?
Of course I did. What am I going to do? Not shower for 5 days, 6 days? Absolutely.
So all these people were showering naked together?
No, okay. So it's just, when I say communal, it's a building.
Oh, so you're not in there together taking showers.
Well, no, we're in there together. We're not showering together. We are showering all in the same room, divided up by curtains. So there was.
Gotcha. Okay.
But regardless, I would stay up until 1 or 2 a.m. and go into the showers to shower in there by myself, because I'm not with that. I'm just not.
Gotcha.
I'm too used to my privacy and my luxuries that I was like, I'm going to hack the system. So yep. I managed to get the whole building to myself. ECETI was a blast. My presentation was so much fun. It went down so much better than I thought it was. I met a lot of amazing people. I definitely saw some unidentified lights on the mountain, in the sky.
I thought you were going to say you saw some naked people in the shower, but no.
No.
You did see some unidentified lights out there, huh?
I did.
And at the Salute to America, there was UFOs observing the Salute to America.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So we all kind of thought that because it was the 4th of July, that my husband just got home. Do you want to say hi or no? Okay. We thought that maybe they were going to give us like a show or something like that.
That's right.
Things really, to my understanding, things started to kind of come alive around 3 and 4 a.m. every day. And I actually have a theory. That these lights are actually, they're actually portals that are being activated. So the illumination that we see actually takes place all day, including daylight hours.
I've met Drew before.
Yeah, you have. You guys know each other. So, but I really think that what's actually happening is that these portals are being activated, and that's the illumination that we're seeing. So it's not
interesting.
It's not that it's just happening at night, and I don't even believe that they're actual ships. I think that the lights, particularly on the mountain, are actually doorways that are pretty consistently being activated all day long.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. But Jenny, it's been a pleasure having you. We kept you a little bit overtime. Sorry for that. Get back to your husband and your kids. It's always a pleasure to have you. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
And I think you did commit to coming on once a month.
I did, didn't I?
You did, absolutely. And I will definitely hold you to that.
Okay, good. It's always a good time here. You have such a wonderful audience, and I always have a good time. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, and we're on a little roll. I mean, things are leveling up here. I expect things to explode, and it's a good thing. I mean, and it parallels me getting myself right and having things, removed from my life that shouldn't be there, and adding things that haven't been there. And you're a big part of that, Jenny, and I really do appreciate it.
Oh, I love you, Jeff. You know how we feel about you. You're just the best ever. Such a blessing. And I'm very excited for the future.
Spread the word.
Spread the word. All right, everybody.
Jenny, much love to you as well. Thank you all. Go to jennymoonstone.com. Book your readings, Jenny Moonstone. Are you building up your YouTube channel?
I am, little by little. It's actually growing. I'm putting more thought into my videos.
That's under Jenny Constantine, right?
Yeah. So the YouTube channel is Jenny Constantine. My website is jennymoonstone.com. But yeah, I mean, I'm kicking off this series with Michelle. I plan to do an extended version of the presentation that I did at ECETI, which is actually cool. It was so much fun, and people loved it. So I'm excited to do that. So yeah. We
should get you and Michelle on The Last Stand one night and talk about what you're doing and talk about your work, because Bauer's down with the goddess and the witch and the sacred feminine. That'd be a great time.
Oh, that's exciting. Sounds like a great matchup.
All right, perfect. Maybe we can do it on August 12th. That's our next opening.
Okay.
I mean, we just had Laura Eisenhower. We got Tom Montauk tomorrow. We got Paladin coming up after that. And then we've got, I forget somebody else. No, then it would be you and Michelle. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Nice to have you, Jenny. Thanks for being here. And thanks to all of you in the chat room for being here. I'm Jeffrey Daugherty, the Christian Whistleblower, the last generation of real humans. Let's get busy.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.